Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session. Thank you so much for joining us today. This session is called The Power of Data Types, and we'll be talking about all kinds of data types things. My name is Elisabetta Caldesi, and I'm here with my coworker.
Hi, I'm Kaycee Reineke. Elisabetta and I both work on the Excel program management team at Microsoft. And like she said, today we're going to talk to you about the power of data types. If you don't know what data types are or what they're good for, we're going to start by showing you this cool video.
When you think Excel, you think spreadsheets and data. But what if Excel could do the heavy lifting of gathering and organizing data for you? From managing your health to tracking your stock portfolio, we wanted Excel to help you achieve your life's goals faster and easier like never before. And we made it happen with linked data types. These data types connect to trusted data on hundreds of topics, conveniently grouped and directly in the app. And only with data types does the information in a single cell come to life. Easily browse and add reliable data like never before. You can even use these in calculations. And while a blank workbook can be daunting, we've made getting started easier too, with smart templates. From tracking your health to helping with homework, these smart templates save you time, so you can focus on what matters. And because data types are connected to online sources, you can easily refresh the workbook to get updated data. Excel isn't just a two-dimensional spreadsheet anymore. With data types, it's a multi-dimensional tool, one that conveniently connects to real data, so you can dynamically track, compare, and organize data to help accomplish your everyday goals, whatever they may be.
So after seeing that cool video, I want to back up a little bit before we get into the brand new stuff and give you a quick recap of some of the first data types that we released in Excel. And those are stocks and geography. We're going to focus on geography and give you a little tour. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you this worksheet and show you geography data types. First of all, this is a worksheet that has countries in Europe and what region in Europe they belong to, generally. To get started with data types, I go to the Data tab, and in the Data tab, there is a section in the gallery for data types. There is our original data types of stocks and geography, and you'll see a whole bunch more in here. Don't get distracted with that yet. Elisabetta is going to go over that later in our presentation. Geography is the one I want to focus on here because I have Albania as a country selected in my table. I'm going to click on the geography button, and it's going to go up to the cloud and ask Bing, hey Bing, what do you know about Albania? And Bing's going to say, oh, hey Excel, I know this information about Albania. And you can tell that this interaction has been done successfully because the data type has a icon next to it in the cell. So anything with that icon represents that this is a geography data type. You can see when I hover over it, it says show card. And so when I click on that icon, it opens this card that shows me the facts about Albania, including an image that is a flag. It tells me its capital and area and population data. Well, I'm interested in all of Europe, so I'm going to select the rest of my countries in this list, hit geography button one more time, and it's going to convert all of these to geographies. You can see when I click on Denmark, for example, it will have the Denmark flag and it will have more facts about Denmark. And you might be asking yourself, well, okay, great, there's facts about it, but how do I use that? Like, why is this in Excel? The answer is because we've created a way for you to quickly get these facts in your workbook and then use them as a part of calculations, charts, and graphs. And so I have two charts down here. They're map charts. One is countries by size and one is countries by population. So I'm going to click on this button up here on the right and it says area. And so when I select the area field, it's going to pull out that area number in square kilometers for all of the countries in my list in my table. And you can see that my chart down here then updated. And so the bigger area regions are darker purple and the lighter area regions are lighter purple. Smaller area regions are lighter purple. I can do the exact same thing for population from this drop down, but I also want to show you that you can do it from the card directly. So as you're learning about a particular country, maybe it's the GDP, maybe it's something else, and you want to see it for your entire table. In this case, I'm interested in population. You can see that this population was gotten in 2019. And then I hit that same looking button to extract population to the grid. And because I'm in a table, it's going to extract the population for every country in this table down into the grid. And you can see that I used that in my chart area over here to show you what the countries with the most people living in them are. And so that is just a brief overview of a basic data type, the geography data type. It's connected to an online source. If these statistics get updated, this was mentioned very briefly in the video, but you can refresh all of these data points, and then we go query the service again and say, hey, what's new? Is anything new in the workbook? And then they get updated. And now I'm going to throw it back to Elisabetta to talk to you about some of the newer data types we have.
Thank you, Kaycee. So Kaycee before was showing the data tab of the ribbon, and she showed you the geography data types, and she said, don't look at this yet. It's time now to look at it. These are the new data types that we've added through our partnership with Wolfram, where we now, instead of connecting to Bing, like the geography data type does, we connect to Wolfram. And Wolfram is a data provider that has a ton of information, which has let us add about 100 more data types. So as you can see here, these are only some of them that we've highlighted, but there's really almost 100 more. So today, I'd like to show you the chemistry data type through the periodic table template, and then later we'll look at the food data type through the nutrition tracker. So this is the periodic table template. This template is available on templates.office.com or through the Excel Backstage. And here is the welcome page, which has a summary of what this template has. So there's a periodic table. There's a tab that lets you compare elemental properties, a tab that lets you track chemical compounds, a place for you to explore chemical compound properties, a little test your knowledge kind of tab where it works almost like a quiz where you can show your understanding based on what you've learned so far in the template. And then we have here a way for you to connect and learn about all the other data types that we have. So here is the periodic table. The periodic table has all of the elements. It works like it did. It works like the data types that Kaycee showed before. So let me zoom in and let's look at iron, for example. If you click on this atom looking icon, you can launch the card. The card lets you explore all the information that the data type has. And here in the periodic table, all of the elements are organized with conditional formatting so that you can see for each property, for example, let's pick like electronegativity. The conditional formatting will show you which ones are the most electronegative versus the least. And here, for example, if we want to find where hydrogen is, we can type that in and the periodic table gets highlighted where hydrogen is. And it works for anything really if you want to look up any element that starts with an M or contains an M. Sorry, it will show up in here. So moving on to the next tab. This tab contains all of the elements, and again, you can explore them through the card, and you can add any of the properties in this table. So let's say we want to see boiling point. In Celsius, this is the boiling point for each of the elements. Moving on to the compound list. This list is for you to track the compounds that you care about. So here are some examples, but let's say you wanted to add a new one, such as ethane. Here you can see that I typed in ethane and it automatically converted to a data type. And I know that the call to Wolfram was successful because I got an icon here that looks like a beaker. And here you can extract more properties from the data types and add them to the column. So for example, let's look at molecular mass. Now we have the molecular mass for all of these entities in here. Moving on to the compound properties tab. In here you can choose any of the compounds that you have in the tab before and see the structure diagram, see the elements that make up the compound, and see the properties for each of the elements. Now that you have put together your list of chemical compounds and have looked at the periodic table and the elements before, you can go through this session to do a show your understanding of what you've learned so far. So this, for example, this question asks which elements have the following symbols. H is hydrogen, and this gives you a green check mark. So what would you use this template for? This template is meant for you to either practice your chemistry skills, whether you are an expert or you just starting up. But this template could also be used in more of a learning scenario, whether it is a teacher trying to teach their students how to deal with the periodic table, how to learn about the elements of the chemical compounds, or it could also be used by parents to help their kids with any chemistry homework that they have. So we just went through the periodic table, and now I'd like to walk you through the nutrition tracker, which uses the food data type. So the nutrition tracker takes in your personal information. I filled it out with sample information here, and you can fill out also your target goals if you have any. If not, it will just default. But let's say I want to eat the recommended calories a day, 2,512, assuming I'm active, and these are my parameters. And then these are my nutrition goals from carbs, protein, and fat. So now I can go into the nutrition actually tracker part where you can record the food that you eat. So let's say, and these charts up here will fill out based on the goal that you had input in the page before. So here, 2,512. Let's say I care about today is 9/27. And today, let's say I had 3 eggs. And now this was successful call because I can see that the data type now has an icon with an apple. It shows the nutrition label for the amount that I've inserted, 3 eggs, sorry, no apple. And it has filled out the columns here with the details that this data type has. And as you can see here, these are really formulas. So yeah, so if I wanted to add anything else, I could also add, Kaycee, do you have anything that you'd like me to type in?
I had oatmeal for breakfast.
Perfect.
Can I just type in oatmeal, or do I have to put in an amount?
Either work. So if you don't put in an amount, oatmeal, it will default to the standard serving size. And to look at the serving size, we can see up here in the nutrition table that it is 54 grams. But if you know how much you ate, so for example, half a cup of oatmeal, then the calories, in this case, it won't change because the standard serving size is half a cup. But let's say you had 100 grams of oatmeal, then the calories do change. This works with either no quantity, quantities as in like cups, tablespoons, in grams or also ounces. So if we say 4 ounces of oatmeal, then you'll get the calories for the 4 ounces, which
That's
here
cool.
you still have the conversion to grams, which is 110 grams. And then here it's blue, as you can tell, because if I fill this out, I can tell that the charts are updating.
We had a big breakfast eating all that oatmeal.
A lot of oatmeal. As you can see here, here's the sum of all the calories you've eaten so far today, and here are the charts. And then lastly, we have the food list here, which if you're not sure what data types, what kind of data types you can get, here is a list of all of the kinds. So by categories, we have beverages, condiments, dairy, eggs, fruit, grains, herbs, and so much more. So, and any of these, you can just open the card and view all of the information. Yeah, so now I'll hand it over to Kaycee, who will show us how to fill in data through Power Query.
Thanks, Elisabetta, so much for showing us that. So I'm going to talk about some Power Query data types right now. And you might be wondering, well, why would you show Power Query data types next to food data types? And the answer is because you can use your Power Query data types to supplement some of these templates when you have special things that you eat or you want that don't exist in the Wolfram database. So for example, I like having an acai bowl, but when I search for that in the Wolfram database, I don't get any results. So I get this question mark and it doesn't find them. And I'm like, okay, that's actually understandable. Like an acai bowl, not super common. And I actually have a specific one that I eat from a store. So what I've done is I've made my own food list over here in this table. And so I've got like Adam's chicken dish, I've got the meal, I've got my acai bowl, I have the number of calories that it has in calories, comma total. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this table, go to Get Data from Sheet, and it's going to open the Power Query editor. And in this Power Query editor, you'll see that I've got my 3 columns here and my notes column. But what I'm going to do is select the meal column and the calories total column together. I held down the Shift key to select both of those at the same time. Then I'm going to go to the Transform tab. And in the Transform tab over here on the right, there's this new feature, which is Create Data Type. And when I click on this, it's going to open up options for me to choose from. So I am creating a new data type based on these 2 columns, which are key value pairs. My data type name, I'm just going to call this my special foods data type. And I can choose the display column to either be calories or the meal. And in this case, I want it to be the leftmost column, the meal. Then I hit OK, and it's going to collapse those 2 columns of data into a single column, which is my special foods data type. And you can see that it has these links here, which go into what are the key value pairs that exist in this data type. The next thing I'm going to do is close and load, which is going to load this into my Excel worksheet as a new table here. And you can see I have a special foods column and I still have my notes column that exists. And you can tell that these are data types because on the left-hand side of the screen or of the column of the cell, you can see it has an icon, and this icon is just a generic data type icon showing you that there is a card available and showing you the key value pairs available in that data type. So we're talking about the acai bowl. So now I'm going to go back to my food diary. In the data selector, I have no results for my acai bowl. I'm going to close my queries and connections pane, close my data tab, and I'm going to use a new function called XLOOKUP to find this item in my other list. Another thing I could do is just go to my table and say, oh, I want the acai bowl. I'm going to Control Copy, go to my food diary and paste it in the cell. And when I paste it in the cell, it now has a it has its key value pairs and it fills out the calorie information. But the other way I could go about doing this without even needing to go back to my previous page and do copy paste is by using a formula called XLOOKUP. And so when I do an XLOOKUP, I want to write in here my lookup value, which is the acai bowl. Then it's going to ask me what array I want to look this up in, and I actually want to look it up in table 1. And on just for ease of use here, I'm just going to go over to table 1 and select the special foods column in my table, and then I need a return array. So, oh, sorry, back up for a second. When I select the special foods column, I am trying to match the name acai bowl to the title of my data type. So you can see here it has a drop-down menu that says calories, meal, and title. I'm going to select title, and this is going to insert this dot notation reference into my formula. So I want to look up in this title section, and then I don't want to return just the string, which is what I'm looking up. I want to return the entire array. So I want to select this column again, but now I don't need any sort of dot notation because I'm going to return the entire item, the entire cell, which is the data type. So then I hit enter and we go back here and you can see that it looked up acai bowl based on this formula and gave me the calories based on this formula, which is just super powerful, very cool. So now, whoops, now I'm going to add another food down here. So let's say today with my acai bowl, I had 1 cup of low-fat milk. And when I hit enter there, it doesn't convert to a data type. Nothing happens. Well, why didn't this convert to a data type? It's not next to other foods above it because I have my custom data type in here. So if I want this to be a part of my table, my formula, so I go to the data tab and I can select foods again from here. And so I select the text in the cell, I click on foods, it's searching the service, it's coming back. And in this case, it's giving me a question mark, but not a no results question mark. It's giving me options to choose from. So in these options, I am choosing between low-fat milk and 1% milk. And I actually did have 1% milk. So that is the item I'm going to select, and it's going to autofill the calories in for me. So now I am going to come down here and start at dinner. My husband's making me something for dinner, and I know it's not going to be in here because he just makes this really special chicken thing. But I don't quite remember what I called it in my food list, my special foods. So I'm actually going to use the XLOOKUP function as a search function for me because I know my list. So in this case, I'm going to do equals XLOOKUP. And just to make it easy, I'm going to copy this formula that I used before and paste it down here. But in this formula, I'm going to change this from acai bowl to Adams something. I can't remember exactly, but it's called Adams something. And so I use that star to represent a wild card. And when I go and edit this formula, I'm going to go to the match mode field in the input and type in the number 2 for a wild card match. And then I hit enter, and it's going to look up in that array the thing that is Adam's wild card. In this case, I called it Adam's chicken dish. And so that is how I got the total calories to just fill in with my formula for Adam's chicken dish. Okay, great. So now it is dinner time, and let's say that it's actually snack time after dinner. You know, I haven't gotten dessert yet, but I'm having a snack. So I'm just going to grab some 10 grapes and hit enter. It doesn't convert automatically, so I go back to the data tab, I hit the foods button. It's going to look up 10 grapes. I see it fill in my calories, and this immediately alerts me that, ooh, maybe that's not right. So here's where I want to put in just a little caveat, is that because we're using service delivered internet connected data, we've got a team at Wolfram behind the scenes that works on curating and making this data possible and easy to use. It's not perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. Sometimes you're going to get these crazy extremes, like in this case, we see this is a bug where I know 10 grapes isn't 24,000 calories. It's more like 24 calories, right? So because I am a good data citizen and I don't want other people to interact with this, I'm going to be able to go to this food card for 10 grapes. And I have this option at the bottom, which is a flag, and it's report data issues. So when I click on this flag, we prompt you with a survey that says, hey, tell me about this data. So you can tell us that this data is wrong. And I'm going to tell them that 10 grapes should not be 24,000 calories. It should be more like 25 calories. And then I can also add some keywords here that'll help it get back to our team, which is like Wolfram, food, data. And then I can hit submit. And then that sends it off, where Elisabetta and I spend once a week going through a bunch of this type of feedback and trying to make sure that we communicate with our partners and try to fix these things. So the more you contribute, hopefully the better it will get. And since I am using this as a food tracker and I know that this is wrong, I can simply just change my column here. Yes, in this case, I know 10 grapes is around 25 calories. My daily nutrition target now looks much more normal. And I can just continue on. So now that I've had my snack, I am ready for my dessert. And so I'm going to have one slice of funfetti cake. Do you guys know funfetti? It's got those rainbow sprinkles. Freaking love rainbow sprinkles. And it didn't convert automatically. I know that because there's no apple next to it. So I hit the foods button. When I hit the foods button, it's searching. Kind of expected this would happen. One slice of funfetti cake wasn't found. But funfetti cake is something I have all the time, so I would really love it if it were a part of the system. So I am going to, in this no results, you can say it says no results. So I'm going to give feedback here as well. And in this case, it didn't find a particular data type for funfetti cake, but I'm having a really good time with data types. I just was searching for one slice of funfetti cake, and it was not found. And that's basically the information that I can give to help us out. And you can always say you can contact me about this feedback. It includes your email address. And there are times if you have questions, comments, or concerns that we use this and are able to like respond to you. Again, I can add some keywords here, which is like Wolfram, food, data. And then I can hit submit. And then that goes, and Elisabetta and I do our thing where we look at this stuff and try to send it to Wolfram. And it's not an automated system right now, but we're, trying to just improve how things work. I also know that, okay, funfetti cake might not be there, but it's pretty close to just normal cake. So I'm going to remove the word funfetti in my data selector pane and just search one slice of cake. And hey, it actually has one slice of cake in here, which is around 280 calories. And so I hit that, I hit enter, and I said it was 280, but this is more precise digit wise. And so it's 275 here. But when you look at the nutrition card, sometimes these are rounded. For example, it rounds up to 280 to give you a nice whole number. And so that's how you can give us feedback when you're using data types, and it doesn't necessarily have to be for any particular issue or reason, but also in that page with the data selector or no results, you can give us feedback about anything related to data types. We are eager to hear it for sure. Yeah, and I also hope that helped you understand a little bit more about Power Query data types, and in this instance, how I use them to add to my benefits that I get with my Wolfram data types. So now we're going to go back to Elisabetta for a few bonus details around our new data types.
Thank you, Kaycee, for that demo. That was really cool. Now, as Kaycee was just saying, I like to show you a couple more things you can do with data types. So here I have a movie that I converted to a movie data type. And now with this movie, I can open the card and see all of its information. Here it has a cool poster with an image. So one of the things we've added with data types is actually images in cells. So I can extract this image to grid and have the image here. The image is looking pretty small. So something I can do is open the image card, which shows me a bigger version of the image. If I want to see a bigger version in the grid though, I can also resize my row so that the poster becomes bigger. Let's see what else is cool about this movie. This movie has a lot of producers. As you can see here, we have this card which shows me a table with producers. I can insert this information in the grid by clicking on here. And as you can see, I have a formula now that does A1.producer. And all of this is 3 rows, but technically it's all contained in here. So how does it work? This is a dynamic array that has the information in the cell, but it spills over into the other cells containing all of this. So these are data types themselves. So what you can do is, for example, we could do place of birth for each of the producers and extract that to the grid. If I fill this down, this will work for this producer as well, and we can double check Pikesville, as we can tell here. And then this producer does not have place of birth. If I knew it, I could go here and add information and say that it's incomplete, and I can say Joey is missing place of birth, and then I can say Wolfram movie data, and I can submit the feedback. So yeah, this is another one of the cool things you can do. And the card previously that I was showing from where the producers are here has all of as an array card, but I can actually drill into it. So from here, I can go into Dan Lin, and then I can go here and see this kind of works like a browser where I can actually go back to the movie itself now. So here's a little bit about how to go through cards, nesting and drilling. Same here for custom roles. As you can tell, this is an array table as well. But what if I add another movie? So let's say Titanic. Convert it. Now I can fill down this information, and I'll have an image for that as well. And I can fill this down as well. So now that I filled out the array here too, now we see an array here, but we get a pound spill here. This is because now I have text in the cells where the array was spilling before. Something I can do is use the array to text function, which is one of the functions that comes with dynamic arrays, that will separate the producers instead of spilling them down in a comma separated list. So as you can tell now, I'm not taking over this row. So if I had to add a new movie, then I could still do array to text and not spill. So now that we have converted this to an array to text function, it's technically not a data type anymore. And here we see a pound field because this is trying to reference C1, which is not a data type, dot place of birth. That means that this field here, place of birth, does not apply to C1. So there's no data for it. So what we can do is actually we can go back to the movie and say dot producer and then say dot place of birth and then wrap all of this in an array to text. As you can tell here, we have, oh, sorry, I picked date of birth, but we could do place of birth. And this will wrap the pound field as well, because as you remember, Kevin, we do not know his place of birth. Yeah, so that's it with a little bit more about what you can do with data types. So just to recap, we have images, we have arrays that can either spill or be in a comma separated list, and we have nesting. So as you can see here, we can get place of birth of the producers of the movie. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to us. Hope this was somewhat entertaining. If you wanted to try data types and use them for whatever scenario you're looking for, you can use them if you're a Microsoft 365 personal or family subscriber or have an EDU license. If you are building scenarios with data types, we'd love for you to let us know. If you look in Excel, on the top right corner, there is a smiley face that you can click on, and you can say, I like something, I don't like something, or I have a suggestion. And if you can put in some keywords about Wolfram data types and what kind of data types that you're using, or even if it's about stocks and geography that we showed you at the very beginning, we love to see how you're using them. So feel free to use that tool or any of the surveys that Kaycee showed you before to get in touch with us. And if you're willing to click the box that says give us your email, then we can get even in more touch and actually know more in depth about your scenarios.
Yeah, Elisabetta is 100% right. We are just like super excited to show these to people, to try to understand how they want to use them, how they want to interact with them. And so we're looking for your feedback. I think that's the biggest message of today's presentation is these things are just the beginning. Excel is changing in amazing ways, and data types as an organizational structure for content in Excel is cutting edge stuff. And so we wanted to make sure that we were able to go in depth with you today, try to answer some of your more nuanced questions that you may have around data types, and also show you just the power of Wolfram as a data provider that we've partnered with. So that was really cool to see all of these things. I just get super excited about the future of Excel, and this is just the beginning. I'm going to put up some slides that have some additional resource links and information, and then I'm going to put in big bold the link for joining our feedback group. So Elisabetta and I basically have a panel of people that we try to contact and reach out to who are using or want to use data types. So join that link if you have been intrigued and excited and are ready to get going. So thank you so much, and we hope you saw the power of data types today.
Thank you.
Bye.